Today we are going to be taking a walking tour through the 9th and 10th Arrondissements in Paris. This video is presented to you by Sarah Rosenblum, Tristan Setterdale, Cameron Spiller, Megan Schultz, and Lexi Stephen. The 9th Arrondissement is also known as the Opera and is located right next to the River Seine. We will be exploring the Palais Garnier and the Galerie Lafayette on our walking tour today. We will also be looking at some famous locations in the 10th Arrondissement, also known as the Entrepôt or warehouse. The 10th arrondissement is situated next to the 9th on the River Seine. This part of Paris is known for the Canal Saint-Martin and two of its railway stations, the Gare du Nord and the Gare de l'Est. We are going to begin our walking tour of the 9th and 10th arrondissement at the famous Gare du Nord, which is the largest train station in Paris and the busiest in Europe overall. The Gare du Nord is situated close to the Gare de l'Est, both in the 10th arrondissement, and they provide easy travel around France as well as the rest of Europe. It opened in 1846 and was designed by the renowned architect Jacques Couture, who had a long career in French architecture. The design of the rail station is a modern neoclassical style decorated with 23 statues by famous sculptors. This railway provides transportation to the northern suburbs of France as well as international destinations in Belgium, Germany, the United Kingdom, and the Netherlands. The Gare du Nord quickly became a busy railway for travelers, and the original building could not keep up with the demand. The interior was completely rebuilt in 1889, and an extension was added to serve the suburban rail lines. More expansion work was carried out between the 1930s and the 1960s. The Gare du Nord is a very famous location in Paris and is featured in many French and American films alike. From the Gare du Nord, we will now travel a few short blocks to the smaller but equally elegant Gare de l'Est. Now on our walking tour, we have arrived at the Gare de l'Est. The Gare de l'Est is a popular train station situated in the 10th arrondissement and is one of the oldest and largest stations in Paris. It first opened in 1849, named as the Gare de Strasbourg, and was renamed the Gare de l'Est in 1854 after its expansion. More renovations followed in 1885 and 1900 as part of Haussmannization, and it saw its final expansion in 1931, with the newest part of the station built symmetrically to match the old part. In 1914, the Gare de l'Est was a key transportation system in World War I, moving French troops out of and into Paris. There is a monumental painting in the main concourse by Albert Herder, Le Départ des Poilus, which illustrates the departure of these soldiers for the Western Front. This rail station is much less busy than the Gare du Nord and provides railways to Reims, Nancy, and Strasbourg in France, as well as other locations east, like Frankfurt and Munich. The station also has a variety of shops located in the concourse and plenty of food options for busy travelers.
The 10th arrondissement is home to Marché Saint-Quentin and Marché Saint-Martin, some of the few covered markets remaining in Paris. Marché Saint-Martin was built in the 19th century, but features a more modern style than the other covered markets. Originally named Marché Saint-Laurent, Marché Saint-Martin has been greatly added onto since it was first created. Marché Saint-Martin offers relatively the same produce options as other covered markets surrounding the town, but Marché Saint-Martin also offers German groceries such as beer and smoked ham. Marché Saint-Quentin is the largest and busiest out of Paris's covered markets. It's filled with meat, flowers, fish, vegetables, ethnic and religious foods, beer, and even a shoemaker. Marché Saint-Quentin was constructed by Baron Haussmann in the 19th century. It follows Haussmann's patterns of natural light, ventilation, and high ceilings with thin iron poles.
Next, we'll take an afternoon boat ride on the Canal Saint-Martin. The canal was constructed in 1802 under the demand of Napoleon Bonaparte. He wanted a passage to connect the northeastern waterways to the Seine River to provide fresh water for the capital. The construction ended in 1825, and the canal is a little less than 3 miles long. Back then, it was a great way to transport food and other goods into Paris. During Haussmannization, part of the canal got pushed underground so new boulevards could be built over it. Today, the canal is a popular hangout spot for local Parisians. On a daily basis, you can find painters, picnickers, fishermen, and flaneurs near the canal's banks. One of the most popular painters to frequent the area was Alfred Sisley. Sisley was influenced by Claude Monet and fascinated by waterways, so the Canal Saint-Martin made for the perfect impressionist paintings. Famous markets and hotels also line the banks, along with plenty of apartments and cafes. After its nearly 2 centuries of existence, the canal is now listed as a historical monument along with many popular sites in Paris, like the Eiffel Tower. I hope you had a great boat tour. Now we'll see the Palais Garnier.
From the Canal Saint-Martin, we'll now walk over to the 9th Arrondissement, and right in the heart of it, the Palais Garnier, one of the most famous opera houses in the world. The 9th Arrondissement is referred to as opera due to the important role it has played throughout the history of opera in Paris. In 1661, Louis XIV founded the Royal Academy of Dance with the intention of training dancers and refining the choreographic art. This stood until 1858, when Napoleon III was the target of an assassination attempt while arriving at the opera. This attack left nearly 500 citizens injured. Out of concern for his own safety, he decided to build a new opera house with a safer entrance. In order to determine the architect for his commission, Napoleon held a competition which was won by Charles Garnier. His winning design was one which would make this new opera house the first to be able to accommodate large audiences, which would alleviate one of the most prominent problems for performers at that time. Fresh on the heels of Haussmannization, Palais Garnier was built on a lot determined by Haussmann, just off of Boulevard Haussmann and Avenue d'Opéra. These widened streets without trees made the Palais Garnier very visible from a distance, crowning it as a glittering symbol of imperial power. In 1990, the Palais Garnier merged with the Opéra Bastille to form the Opéra de Paris. This eventually was renamed to the Opéra National de Paris, extending its reach beyond Paris to the entirety of France. The Palais Garnier has surely left its mark on the world, considered as one of the most famous opera houses in the entire world.
Now we will go to Galeries Lafayette, which is a short 5-minute walk from the Opera House. Galeries Lafayette is a department store in the 9th Arrondissement of Paris, and it is located on the street Boulevard Haussmann. The department store is very popular with locals as well as tourists, and it is the second most visited monument in all of Paris, following the Eiffel Tower. Galeries Lafayette was founded in 1893 by cousins Théophile Bader and Alphonse Kahn. It was originally founded as a small novelty store. In 1896, Théophile Bader and Alphonse Kahn expanded their business and purchased the entire building, turning their small novelty shop into a large department store. The entirety of the store opened in 1912. The founders worked hard to get the best artists and architects to design their department store. The building was designed by architect Louis Majorel, and the artist who designed all of the decor was Ferdinand Chenu. The beautiful dome in the center of the building was designed by a glass artist named Jacques Gruber. Similar to the department store in the book The Lady's Paradise, Galeries Lafayette was known for their window displays, which drew people into the stores. The store is giant, with 96 different departments, a tea room, a fumoir, and a terrace. The Galerie Lafayette is the last stop on our walking tour. We hope you enjoyed the 9th and 10th arrondissements of Paris and some of its history. Feel free to stay and continue shopping.